Starting up, Dave. I'll let you know.
I got a prompt for streaming.
Okay, there you go. We are now live, so we can start the recording, Carm and Madam Chair. On you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dave. Okay. Buenas Nahapaday, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Regents. It is September 15th, 5:31 p.m. via Zoom. First on the agenda, actually item 2.0 meeting minutes. 2.1, the regular meeting minutes of April 21st, 2022. So I had, again, just that one minor comment regarding item 5.23 in the meeting minutes, referring to, let's see, Regent Malilai as Leon Malilai, and I think we need to drop the Leon.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if you don't mind calling for the motion to approve with changes, then we can talk to the open discussion changes.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 21st, 2022, subject to corrections?
This is a Regent.
Okay, we have a second discussion. Okay, there being no discussion.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Just to clarify, point of clarification, was that motion made by Regent Malilai?
Yes, I believe so.
And seconded by?
Regent Leon Barrera.
Regent Leon Barrera. Yeah. Okay. So there's really just that one typo that needs to be scrubbed. Other than that, there being no other changes, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the April 21st meeting minutes, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Abstention? Okay, the ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on now to action item 2.2, the special meeting minutes of May 23, 2022.
Move to approve the special meeting minutes of May 22nd or May 23rd, 2022.
Okay,
Regent
Do we have-
Diaz, I second motion.
thank you, Regent Diaz. Okay, discussion. Again, the request for this Dave was to really just attach the amended bylaws for the Board of Regents for allowing Zoom and online meetings after the public health emergency was lifted. So, any other comments or concerns? Okay, there being none, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Abstention? Okay, the ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to item 3.0, chairperson's remarks, and that would be myself. Okay, I'd like to again welcome everyone in Hapaday and welcome to our September regular meeting and our first meeting for the academic year. We're looking forward to a great and exciting academic year as Guam moves towards some normalcy with COVID-19, implementing UOG's Parahulu strategic initiatives, preparing for the next WASC comprehensive review for reaffirmation of accreditation, and the construction of 4 new facilities on campus, and many more other activities and initiatives. At this time, I'd like to welcome our new student regent, Julie Laksamana, who was sworn in on August 13th, 2022, and replaced former student regent Anissa Tapasnia. So please extend a warm welcome to her with a round of applause. So student regent Laksamana, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Chairperson Provito. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Laksamana, and I am the student-elect student regent of UOG for the next 2 years. After experiencing such a great community, I became interested in wanting to become part of something more and becoming hands-on on this establishment. When I found this opportunity through my peers, I was very eager to do it, and I'm very thankful that I was elected to work with a welcoming community for the betterment of this school. I look forward to working with everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Student Leader Laksamana. And this concludes my remarks. Next is item 4.0, President's Report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As usual, I'll begin with our in memoriam slides, which I think will be projected. So it's been quite a while since our last meeting, so I'm afraid there's quite a few in memoriam. So if I could get those slides up, please.
Yes, sir, stand by. Can you unshare, Carm?
I can say while we work on that our last meeting, of course, was in April, and then May for our special meetings. We've had all the summer activities that I'll report on as well. So the in memoriam slides to remember those who members of our community or extended community who have passed away since the last meeting. We had Adriano Pangilinan, retired UOG associate professor. Carlos Meno Paulino, retired postal clerk supervisor. Olga Zekli, wife of Dr. Zoltan Zekli, associate professor of mathematics in the College of Natural and Applied Sciences. Mark Lander, assistant professor of meteorology in the Water Environmental Research Institute of the Western Pacific. Andrew Laguana, regent, 2008 to 2012. Antonio Babauta Cruz, father of Connie MC Kenyatta, administrative officer in the RFK Memorial Library. Federico Eric Aquino, father of Erickson Abiad Aquino, project coordinator in the TRIO Educational Talent Search. Miguel Agun Titano, father of Dr. Rachel Leon Guerrero, vice provost for research and sponsored programs. Maria San Nicolas Titano, mother of Carlos Titano, director of the Global Learning and Engagement Office. Ernest Villaverdi, spouse of Francis A.C. Villaverdi, senior program analyst in the UOG Office of Information Technology. And that's the list. If I could have a moment of silence to remember these members of our community and how much we miss them. Thank you. So since our last meetings in April and May, we've had a number of activities, including a number of things where we've returned to face-to-face activities. So that sort of gradually happened over the summer, particularly. So we had the Micronesian Culture Day, which is a great chance to celebrate our residential students, particularly who've been through a really tough time being sort of locked down in our dorms. It was great that we were able to support our residential students all through the pandemic. Many universities across the country evicted all of their residents and didn't take care of them at all. So in our case, we took care of them through the pandemic. So the Micronesian Cultural Day was a great way to celebrate our regional partnerships and students from neighboring islands, particularly. I was also pleased in May to be able to present an honorary doctorate to Dr. Patrick Tilley at the PCC commencement, where the president of Palau and the whole community was present. So it was a great opportunity to highlight a great friend of the university. We also had commencement with our UOG at 70 theme, which we've continued through the year, as you no doubt noted, including with honorary degrees at our commencement ceremony. Thanks to regents who were able to attend the ACC Board Governance Training Workshop in Oahu in June. It was a great showing, and as we've heard in a couple of different ways from people who participated, it was a great opportunity for professional development for our board system. After that, I was able to attend the World Summit on Island Sustainability in the Galapagos with Dr. Austin Shelton of the Sea Grant and Center for Island Sustainability. This attracted a whole new group of experts, I think, who will be planning to come to our own Island Sustainability Conference, which will be our 14th annual. That's next April 11th through the 15th. And we'll also hold another presidential panel, as we've done a few times in the past, featuring island university presidents from across the Pacific and the wider world. We also hosted in Guam here at the Hyatt, the LSAMP Undergraduate Research Conference for the whole region. So that was a great opportunity to show off what we're able to do and to share undergraduate research from the whole region. We've also launched the new year of this year with new sports teams, and of course our esports team doing exceptionally well this past year, reaching 16th in the nation. We have the new partnerships website that we saw during the working session that was unveiled, the 132 memoranda of understanding that we have with a number of different countries, 14 different countries, including the funded faculty positions in Mandarin from the government of Taiwan that's new this semester. We said farewell to SBPA Dean Annette Santos and welcome Dean Fred Schumann. And as you're aware, by other notice, we're also saying farewell this month to Dr. John Jensen of Weary and soon to Vice Provost D. Leon Guerrero, but we hope and expect to engage them in at least part-time ways going forward. So. Also, we have CNAS Dean Lee Udine has taken on the additional duty of interim dean of the School of Engineering and has energized the ABET accreditation process and engaged a consultant to help us in that effort. I was able to make an official visit to Saipan and Rhoda, and we held UOG at 70 alumni and prospective student events. I was pleased to be able to award the first 2 President's Medals to alum and longtime UOG supporter Jerry Tan at an event at which he sponsored a new set of athletic scholarships for UOG students. And then the second medal to Northern Marianas College Vice President and former interim president Frankie Elliptico at the Saipan Rotary Club. Both of those events were very well attended. I was also able to accompany the National Director of Sea Grant at NOAA and his entourage in Saipan and then also in Guam. And we held the great graduation ceremony. Thanks to Regents, we were able to attend that for our full institutional status as one of the 34 state and territory Sea Grant programs. This was a very fine cherry on the ice cream sundae of our 70th anniversary year and also our 50th year as a land grant institution. So now being a full-fledged Sea Grant institution is a great addition. We also opened the academic year with almost like before levels of face-to-face classes and activity on campus. And one measure of how normal things are is that it's now hard to find parking again. Our enrollment continues to be soft in the way that it has been through the pandemic. We share this weak enrollment situation with most other universities across the country. Nationally, we have 1.6 million fewer students enrolled than before the pandemic. Our EMSS team has been working hard to reach out to former and prospective students and finding innovative ways to recruit students as well. And of course, faculty, staff, administrators, and other students have been helping and encouraging people to pursue or to return to pursue their academic goals. We also held a lavish inauguration ceremony for our 61st Student Government Association with the governor, the lieutenant governor, and Senator Amanda Shelton, and many other community leaders in attendance. And I think there's a lot of great energy in the Student Government Association this year. And I think the sort of first kind of sort of post-pandemic year it'll benefit from this great leadership that we have in SGA. We also opened the truly remarkable UOG at 70 exhibit at the Guam Museum. And that opening was also very well attended by regents and the governor and lieutenant governor, the speaker, and several other senators and community leaders. This exhibit will be up and free and to the public until 15 October. And we have a community night sponsored by SGA next Thursday, the 22nd, in conjunction with the Food Trucks Fiesta in Skinner Plaza. So I hope you'll be able to participate in that. I had the honor of having dinner with the Secretary of the Air Force and local military leadership, and was able to highlight our ROTC program, our military-friendly campus designation. Our ranking is #1 in the Pacific for Best College for Vets, and our Student Veterans Association. And also highlighted our many NAVFAC partnerships for student internships, construction projects, environmental and cultural protection efforts, and more. Thanks to the effort of Dean Monique Story, General Counsel Anthony Camacho, and others, we've succeeded at negotiating an MOU with the Department of Chamorro Affairs to operate the Guam Cultural Repository for at least the next 3 years. So that's a great achievement, and the first 6 positions will be advertised very soon. Also, our budget looks to be roughly similar to the austere one that we had last year, although we did succeed in diverting an attempt to cut an additional $1.5 million out of it, thanks to Vice President Randy Wiegand, Budget Officer Rachel Kubikub, and SGA leaders for their efforts, and also to Vice Speaker Tina Munya Barnes for advocating for UOG on this important matter. We've also had 2 big leaps forward in our Island Wisdom Initiative under our Strategic Initiative #1, seeking to be recognized as a research university centered in island wisdom. We had a canoe blessing ceremony and then the PWO ceremony, creating 6 new master navigators, including our own Professor Melissa Taitano, one of the very few women master navigators anywhere. My thanks to Senior Vice President and Provost Anita Borja Enriquez and Dean of Libraries, Dr. Monique Story, for co-chairing the Island Wisdom Initiative and helping bring these important new developments into being. Another important element of the Island Wisdom effort has been the formulation of the Inadahi San Inagofli'e DEI Council, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, which is our UOG effort to infuse our local traditional cultural values of respect and care for the community as our interpretation of the national and international concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion. UOG Press continues to innovate and contribute, most recently by initiating discussions for the development of a medical journal for our region. And they also signed an MOU with Northern Marianas College to create a CNMI imprint of the UOG Press to encourage more writing and publishing from our neighbors to the north. We also held our annual Distinguished Alumni Ceremony and dinner, honoring a rich array of graduates who've done great things for our communities here and in the wider world. And also to thank you to the regents who were able to attend yesterday's town hall event at the Field House, which featured updates on the accomplishments of the Parahula Strategic Plan in the first almost 3 years of the plan, along with highlights of the next steps we'll all focus on in the current academic year. I can say that the 2 top-level projects of this year will be the writing of the institutional self-study for the WASC Senior College and University Commission under the leadership of our ALO, our academic liaison officer, Dr. Enriquez, and her big committee, the largest in UOG 70 years, we think. 59 members of the university community will be engaged in that report. And also the preparation, the second big thing of the year will be the preparation of our application to the Carnegie Foundation to be classified as a community engagement institution. And both of these big reports are due in less than a year. For those regions not able to make the town hall, we have a video of it available, and we'll send the link after this meeting. As I mentioned at the town hall just this week, U.S. News and World Report announced that UOG had moved up 20 places among the universities in the West, and also up 10 places among public universities, and also 10 places in social mobility. So those are great additions to our accolades. And if I could remark on some upcoming events, I will be attending several events in New York and Washington, D.C. in the next 10 days. The UN General Assembly attracts a number of side events. I'll be attending the Local 2030 Islands Initiative meeting, the Global Islands Partnership meeting, the Ocean Foundation meeting, and the Clinton Global Initiative Conference on Sustainability Development Goals. In DC, I'll join the Pacific Post-Secondary Education Council, which is the presidents of all the colleges and universities in the US affiliated Pacific, for our biannual meeting and for a series of congressional and other government meetings focused on this, the 15th anniversary of the ANAPISI category of minority serving institutions. ANAPISI is a big acronym. It stands for Asian American, Native American, and Pacific Islander Serving Institutions. So it's our category, similar to the historically Black colleges and universities, the HBCUs, or the Hispanic serving institutions, the HSIs. So we're trying to push for more funding for our category and increase awareness. And then I'll also be meeting with senior officials of the USDA, the National Science Foundation, and other agencies. In October, I'll make an official visit to the Marshall Islands and the FSM to sign MOUs and reinforce partnerships with the College of the Marshall Islands and the College of Micronesia, FSM, and to hold UOG at 70 events for our alumni. This will be my first visit to the College of the Marshall Islands and my second visit to the College of Micronesia. Something that I hope you regents all will consider attending next semester will be the annual Conference on Trusteeship run by the Association of Governing Boards, AGB, in San Diego, April 2nd to the 4th of 2023. This will be another chance for regents who weren't able to attend the Hawaii workshop to gain some insight and meet your peers from across the country. I met recently with former board chair Tony Sanford, and she was full of praise for this conference and its value in developing her skills as a regent. And of course, it's open as well to regents who are able to attend the Hawaii training as well. Thank you all for making so much making time so often to attend so many UOG events and for advocating for the university with the community and with our elected leaders. Biba UOG. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kreis. Yeah, the summer was actually pretty busy for everyone. So appreciate your summary for those events and activities. Okay, moving on to item 5.0, reports from standing committees. Let's see, 5.1, this CSARD committee. I'd like to call on the committee chair, Regent Malilai, for committee update.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The CSARD committee met on September 7 at 1:02 p.m. via Zoom. A quorum was present. Resolution number 22-21 was proposed, reviewed, and moved for board approval. I, Regent Malilai, move to approve resolution number 22-21 relative to approving the reapportioned fiscal year 2023 Student Financial Assistance Program budget.
Thank you, Regent Malilai. Do I have a
Regent
second?
Diaz, I second.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. Mark Duarte, the Director of Financial Aid, gave a brief overview and highlights of this resolution, and they are: number one, UOG submitted a budget for $4 million to the legislature. However, the legislature approved only $3,565,285, which is the same as the year 2022. You can see that in the Student Financial Assistance Program fiscal year 2023 budget. And second bullet point was the high expenditure. The highest expenditure was for the Merit Award scholarship, which is at $1,812,030. So the budget law limits the administration costs to cover up to 10%. And as such, the budget is at 9.4%. Mr. Duarte also continued to inform us that Gov Guam still owes UOG $500,000 for 2022, and he anticipates a small surplus, which will be transferred to 2023. 2022, as you can see, exceeded our budget, but the president, which is President Kreis, can transfer funds. And those were his 5 bullet points regarding this resolution. By the way, this resolution also underwent the review process, which was endorsed by not only our committee, but I'm assuming the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee, Dr. Kreis, Dr. Enriquez Perez, Dr. Camacho, and of course, Randy.
Thank you. So it looks like we had the appropriations for SAP was reduced by about 300,000. Do we have any other discussion? Okay, if not, then I'd like to call for a vote. So all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Regent Lilly. Okay, that concludes the CSARD committee report. Okay, at this time, I would like to step down as a Board of Regent Chair and request for Treasurer Mike Nahalawa to assume the chair, as I will be the acting committee chair for the Academic Personnel and Tenure Committee, since our committee chair, Regent Leon Guerrero, was off island at the time and was not able to preside. So moving on then. So do we have, okay, so Regent Nahalawa?
Yes, I'm available and I'm ready. Okay,
All right.
thank you very much. Okay, regarding the
Mhm.
Academic Personnel and Tenure Committee, 5.2-1 is the revision of the institution selection criteria and establishment of the near peer list. Can I receive a motion to bring this to discussion to the board?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, just point of clarification. This
Actually,
is just for
yeah,
information.
this is just for, actually,
So we
this
don't
is
need a
just for
motion.
information. This is
Yeah,
just for information.
I'm sorry, information purposes. That's correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And then actually moving forward, as acting committee chair, I'll go ahead and present the resolutions.
Cool.
So with the revision on the institution's selection criteria, I think, do we have our vice provost for institutional effectiveness, Dee Leon Guerrero, present?
Yes, ma'am. She's prepared to present when you want her to.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I'd like to call on Dee to make her briefing to the board.
Okay, thank you, Regent Provito. To just give some information as far as the background of what the peer institutions are all about, and then the recommendation that was approved by the Senior Vice President and Provost. But we wanted to bring this to the attention of the board. So I can share screen to we can be guided, if that's okay.
Yes, you have co-host.
Thank you. Okay, won't make this too long. Okay, so for background information, in 2008, my office created 2 peer lists. One was for open admissions institutions, and the other one was for aspirant institutions. Since then, since 2008, numerous campus units and leadership have utilized these lists for various purposes and comparisons. The lists were compiled to identify higher education institutions for the purposes of measuring and comparing performance. The institutions selected are comparable to the University of Guam using various criteria such as student enrollment size, public control versus private control, offering both bachelor's and master's programs, and using the Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System, or IPEDS, their peer analysis system. We generated 2 sets of rankings of institutions. So the first one, as I mentioned, was the open admissions peer list. And we use this for tracking a performance performance comparisons. This IPEDS generated list of institutions was based on whether they were open admissions institutions, did they have public control, did they offer bachelor's and master's programs, but primarily graduating undergraduates, offering Title IV federal financial aid assistance programs, and having comparable enrollment size. Then for the aspirant benchmarks, the 10 institutions included those listed consistently scored well in annual college surveys conducted by the U.S. News Weekly, particularly with student satisfaction and retention. These institutions offer both bachelor's and master's programs and have comparable small enrollment size in our public institutions. The university compares its performance to these institutions and aspires to match their performance as they are regarded as sources of best practices and benchmarking for institutional efficiency, student success, and student retention. So as you can see on the share screen, we had, since 2008, we had our open admissions list and our aspirant list. So it's been a while. And so we determined that as our enrollment had declined, and there really aren't that as many open admissions institutions that we can have or compare ourselves to, the senior vice president and provost said, let's take a look at institutions that have relatively high research funding or research resources, because that's where we're at as well. So the current selection criteria combination of open admissions and relatively small enrollment size does not yield many institutions for a peer list. Therefore, it is recommended to change the selection criteria to replace open admissions with comparable federal operating grants and contracts for two reasons. First, UOG has significantly higher levels of federal grants compared to those in its peer institutions, both open and aspirant. And second, our enrollment, as I said, has been on a decline for 5 years, shrinking our pool of peer institutions. So the other criteria were kept. In other words, Title IV federal assistance available to students, master's and bachelor programs, and so on. So using, again, the IPEDS data, we came up with the following list. So this now, I think there's 14 on this list. We will be using this on a going forward basis as our peer list. And that's all we wanted to advise you of, that. The only criteria that changed is we wanted to compare ourselves to those with significant federal resources. We're at that category right now. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much, Dee. Yeah, and again, you know, if this data you have could be somehow translated into digital data that Jim was working on, and that would really be a powerful tool to have. But thank you for your report on that. Okay, moving on to item 5.2.2, resolution number 22-22, relative to approving the proposed academic employees grant and contract overload, buyout, closeout, and indirect policy. Okay, I make a motion relative to that resolution. So can I have second?
Regent Malila, I second the motion.
Okay. All right. Okay. So discussion on this. This resolution updates the UOG manual policy on compensation of academic personnel for overload work on grants and contracts and handling of buyouts and closeouts, which currently consists of a series of memorandums and directives. And so what this does will include this as formally in the faculty and administrator manuals. So with that, do we have any other further clarification or discussion? Okay, if not, Mr. Chair, I believe you can call for a vote
I think
as
so
acting
too,
chair.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. I think acting chair of the committee. Okay, for all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, all those against? Any abstentions? Ayes have it. Sorry, I don't have a bell here.
I'll do it for you here. There you go.
Good.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, moving on now to action item 5.2.3. As acting chair, I make a motion to approve this resolution number 22-23 relative to establishing a permanent water and environmental research institute director position in the administrator's salary pay scale. Do we have a second?
Thank you.
This is Regent Diaz. I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
Okay,
this
quick discussion.
yeah. All right. So for this resolution, EOG has been transitioning rotating administrator positions to permanent positions to provide more stability and continuity to the organization's leadership, management, and operations. The WIRI director position, which is a 3-year rotating position, was the next in line to be reviewed and will work under the direction of the vice provost for research and sponsored programs. So any further discussion? I believe that we have, let's see, Joe Matautown had wanted to make some comments regarding the salary pay scale. Do we have Joe?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and good evening, Regents. So further to the action presented at the AP&T committee, everything went well. However, we have further reviewed the proposed salary range for this particular position. As previously presented, we had a salary range of $94,210 to $144,314. And that was previously benchmarked to a CUPA, that's the College University Professional Association for guidelines. It was benchmarked to a position titled Associate Dean of Environmental Studies.
Okay, thank you. So in terms of the adjustment for the salary scale, I imagine it's similar to what had happened with the capital improvements project position, where the salary scale was bumped up to attract more qualified candidates. So that's this similar intention to this. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I apologize. It looked like I think I was muted, but yes, with respect to the salary range, it was previously pegged to position title called Assistant Dean or Associate Dean of Environmental Studies. However, based on the competitiveness of the position, it was recommended that we consider aligning it to some of the other positions that we currently have within the same category. So it's for that reason we're hoping that the regents will consider an amendment to what was originally presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So I'd like to go ahead and make the motion then to approve the adjustment on the salary pay scale as recommended. Can we have a second?
The Regent Diaz, I second the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to go ahead and call a vote for this resolution. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those against? None. All those abstention? None. The ayes have it. The resolution
carries.
passes.
Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and ring the bell for you. All right, now we have to go back now, and now that we have approved the
I'm in a board
amended
meeting. I'll call you
salary
later.
scale, we have to now vote on the actual resolution itself to establish a permanent WIRI director position. So So my motion, my original motion stand with as amended. Can we have a second?
Regent Laksamana.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chair, I think we can call for a vote
Okay,
now.
great, thank you. Okay, thank you. For resolution 22-23, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those against? None. Any abstention? None. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-23 has passed.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, moving on now to item 5.2.4. I make a motion of resolution number 22-24 relative to expressing appreciation to Anissa Tapasnia for her service as member of the Board of Regents. Can we get a second?
Regent Laksamana.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead for discussion.
Any discussion motion, go ahead.
Yeah. So Anissa Tapasnia began attending UOG in August 2018 and graduated in May 2022 with a degree in biology, minor in tomorrow studies. And she served as student regent from February 1st, 2021 to May 2nd, 2022. She also served in the Student Government Association as senator, served with AmeriCorps, was also involved with educational outreach to mentor and assist at-risk children, was also involved with COVID-19 outreach initiatives. And while a member of the American Medical Student Association from Panamanyaka in 2019 to present, she also served as chair to the Be the Match recruitment drive. Anissa also played with the UOG Lady Titans soccer team and served as a member of Student Affairs, Scholarship, Alumni Relations, and Honorary Degree Committees, and the Academic Personnel and Tenure Committee as student regent from February 1st, 2021 to May 20, 2022. So therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Regents of UOG, the administration, faculty, staff, and students convey to Anissa Tapasnia their sincerest gratitude for her dedication to the university and people of Guam, for her service as a student member of the Board of Regents, and for her devotion to the growth and prosperity of our island.
Good, thank you. Are there any comments, further comments? Okay, hearing none, I would like to call a vote. All those for the resolution 22-24, the appreciation to Anissa Tapasnia for her service as a member of the Board of Regents. Can I have approval?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, but just point of clarification, it's 22-25, and we'll come back to 24 in a minute.
Whoa.
Okay,
So just a point of order, the stuff that you gave me, it shows 22-24. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Okay, anyway,
yeah,
okay,
right.
20. Yeah, okay. Okay, all those in favor of this motion?
Aye.
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 Okay, ayes have it. Okay, anybody against it? Any abstention? Ayes have it. The motion 22-25 is approved.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, let's see, moving on to the next.
And Regent Provito, if I may, just to clarify, that was 5.2.5 we just did. Can we go back to 5.2.4 for resolution 22-24, please?
Okay, resolution, oh gosh, okay, so my agenda here is that I'm out of order. So moving, okay, so let's move to resolution number 22-24, adopting the University of Guam's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Policy Statement on Respect, Compassion, and Community. So I make a motion for this resolution number 22-24. Can I have a second?
Regent Diaz, I second the motion.
Okay. So moving on to discussion. This resolution involves the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, Senior College and University Commissions stand for diversity, equity, inclusion, and social injustice after the George Floyd murder. And there were a series of also of conversations that UNG had conducted and which had exposed the institution gaps in addressing this issue. And so UOG's Inadahizan Inagahi Council on DEI proposed of the policy statement on respect, compassion, and community to the Academic Officers Council on February 28, 2022, and which was then presented by the Senior Vice President Provost to the 21st Faculty Senate on March 17, 2022, and then finally endorsed for adoption by the Administrative Council on July 6, 2022. So the APT committee has reviewed the proposed DEI policy statement and recommends the proposed DEI policy statement to the board for adoption. Okay.
Are there any comments regarding this motion? Okay, if none, I'd like to call a vote on this motion. This is for resolution number 22-24. Can I have a vote, please? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, all those against? None. All those abstain? None. The ayes have it. Resolution number 22-24 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, let's see, moving on to the next resolution. All right, resolution number 22-26. This is a resolution I make a motion to approve resolution number 22-26 relative to expressing appreciation to Remedios Remy Babalta Cristobal for her exemplary service in multiple key roles and as Associate Dean of Enrollment Management and Student Success and Registrar for the University of Guam for over 33 years. And we have a second.
Regent Leon Guerrero, second.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to discussion. Ms. Cristobal began her career at UOG as a clerk typist 3 from 1990 to 1991, and she then served on various administrative positions and was finally promoted as Associate Dean of Enrollment Management and Student Success and Registrar in 2015. She had provided administrative support, Senior Vice President, and administered all aspects of curriculum management, faculty information, and the building and facilities module for UOG. Mrs. Cristobal had also advanced UOG's technology to improve student services support, such as online admissions, applications, and online enrollment certifications. She had dedicated her experience and knowledge as a responsible leader, provided exceptional customer service to students, faculty, in the local community, and provided valuable influence in working with both the administration and students in addressing issues impacting UOG. Whereas the Academic Personnel and Tenure Committees reviewed the resolution and recommends approval of this resolution, expressing its appreciation to Remedios Remy Babalta Cristobal for her exemplary service as Associate Dean of Enrollment Management and Student Success and Registrar with UOG for over 33 years to the Board of Regents. Be it resolved that the Board of Regents, the administration, faculty, staff, and students convey to Remedios Remy Babalta Cristobal their sincerest gratitude for her dedication to UOG's student success and the people of Guam, for her service as a valued member of the university community, and for her devotion to the growth and prosperity of our community.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any further discussion on this motion 22-26? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, all those against? None. Any abstention? None. Ayes have it. Resolution number 22-26 is therefore approved. Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, now moving on to resolution number 22-27. I make a motion on resolution number 22-27 relative to expressing appreciation to Dr. Annette Taheran Santos for her service as Dean of the School of Business and Public Administration.
Regent Leon Guerrero, second.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah. Dr. Santos has worked in the public sector where she began her career as a clerk typist 3 in 1989 with the former UOG College of Arts and Sciences and served in various administrative positions. She had entered UOG as tenured graduate assistant professor in 2004, received tenure as promoted in 2010. Dr. Santos was appointed as interim dean of School of Business and Public Administration in 2013 and was appointed through a competitive search as dean of SBPA in 2015, where she served until her retirement in July 2022. Dr. Santos had successfully expanded the portfolio of SBPA to include the establishment of the Regional Center for Public Policy, the establishment of Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation in collaboration with the Center for Island Sustainability, launched the Startup Weekend of Micronesia, which runs 7 simultaneous startup events throughout Micronesia. And other notable achievements include launching the 3+1 Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice Articulation Agreement with the Northern Marymount College, initiating 3+1 Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice Articulation Agreement with the Palau Community College, customized master's degree programs at NMC and PCC, approving Master of Accountancy online degree program to be launched November 2022. She had initiated the NASPA accreditation process and earned successful awarding of the Global Standard for Masters in Public Service for UOG MPA program. Dr. Santos had also initially successfully maintained professional accreditation for the SBPA's business administration programs through the International Accreditation Council for Business Education and secured professional accreditation designation for the Graduate Public Administration degree program with the National Association of Schools of Public Affairs and Administration. She also served in numerous community and professional organizations, serving as inaugural president of Republic of Pago Bay, Guam, past president of Optimus International of the Marianas, and board member of the Women's Chamber of Commerce. Dr. Santos was also recognized for numerous awards, including one of Guam's 25 most influential women, nominee of the 2012 First Wine Bank Businesswoman of the Year Award, nominee for the 2017 Guam Executive of the Year Award, and Triton Awardee for 2020 Supervisor of the Year. The Academic Personnel and Tenure Committee has reviewed the resolution and recommends approval of this resolution, expressing appreciation to Dr. Annette Taheran Santos to the Board of Regents. Therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Regents, the administration, faculty, staff, and students convey to Dr. Annette Taheran Santos their sincerest gratitude for her dedication to UOG, the people of Guam, her exemplary service as a valued member of the university community, and for her devotion to the growth and prosperity of our island.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further comments regarding this motion? Okay, if not, I'd like to call a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? None. Any abstention? None. Therefore, the vote, resolution number 22-27 is therefore approved.
Thank you. Okay, let's see, moving on now to
22-20.
resolution number 22-28. Dave, can we scroll? Okay, there we go. Okay, resolution number 22-28. I make a motion on resolution number 22-28 relative to expressing appreciation to Deborah D. Leonguero for her exemplar service as administrator with the University of Guam for over 20 years. Do we have a second?
Regent Malila seconds the motion.
Okay, moving on to discussion. Ms. Leonguero served as an adjunct instructor for the UOG College of Business and Public Administration from 1999 to 2002 and taught Introduction to Computer Operations post-secondary course. He joined UOG full-time in 2002 and served as Registrar for the Enrollment Management and Student Success Division until 2008, served as Director for Academic and Assessment Institutional Researcher from 2008 to 2017, and was promoted to Vice Provost for Institutional Effectiveness in Academic and Student Affairs from 2017 to 2022. Ms. Leon Guerrero had launched and institutionalized 15 editions of the annual publication of the UOG Fact Book, which represents yearly academic statistics and primary source for important metrics, including enrollment, student retention, and degree completions, faculty demographics, and instructional resources, which provides understanding of the comprehensive health of UOG. Ms. Leon Guerrero was the first female Pacific Islander institutional researcher for UOG in academic assessment and institutional research, focusing on monitoring, reporting institutional accreditation compliance, and supporting UOG's overarching Good to Great initiative. Ms. Leon Guerrero also sustained 20 years of annual compliance with the U.S. Department of Education. She had reactivated and chaired and institutionalized the University Assessment Committee for 10 years that led to the establishment of UOG's institutional learning outcomes. She had implemented the annual assessment inventories, implemented Web Advisor, and over the past 14 years, coordinated the submission of annual reports, interim reports, and progress to the WASC Senior College and University Commission. And also in partnership with the Guam Department of Education, Guam Community College, and UOG secured multi-year grant funding for historic U.S. DOE state longitudinal data system to measure and analyze student success. Ms. Leon Guerrero also secured grant funding from APIA scholars to research Pacific Islander transfer student experience. She had also secured grant funding from the Western Interstate Commission of Higher Education, that's WICHE, to research the impact of administrative or non-academic holds on student accounts as they relate to student success. So whereas Ms. Leon Guerrero administered national surveys to raise visibility of UOG, such as the Best for Vets, U.S. New Colleges, Peterson's College Board, National Institute of Health Graduate and Postdoc Survey, National Survey of Student Engagement and Outcomes Survey. The Academic, Personal, and Tenure Committees reviewed this resolution and recommends approval of this resolution expressing appreciation Deborah D. Leon Guerrero for her service as Vice Provost of International Effectiveness with UOG for over 20 years to the Board of Regents. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Regents, administration, faculty, staff, and students convey to Deborah D. Leon Guerrero their sincerest gratitude for her dedication to UOG and the people of Guam, for her service as a valued member of the university community and her devotion to the growth and prosperity of our island.
Wow, nice, awesome. Okay, any comments? Any other comments pertaining to this resolution? Okay, having heard none, I'd like to get all those in favor of the approval of resolution number 22-28, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any abstention? None. All those in favor against? None. The ayes have it. Resolution number 22-28 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, I believe we have one more final resolution, a laudatory resolution, 23-29. So I make a motion for resolution number 22-29 to approve this resolution relative to expressing appreciation to Dr. John Jensen for his exemplary service as faculty and director of the Water and Environmental Research Institute of the Western Pacific for 29 years.
Regent
Regent
Malila
Diaz.
seconds.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Moving on to discussion. Dr. Jensen joined the faculty of UOG's Water and Environmental Research Institute of the Western Pacific on October 1st, 1993 as a hydrologist and groundwater modeler. Joined the faculty of the Graduate Environmental Science Program, College of Natural and Applied Sciences, in which he taught courses in hydrogeology, Pacific Island geologic and climatic history, and scientific competence and integrity. Dr. Jensen served as graduate student advisor to 20 of the 69 students who have completed theses in the program since '97. 5 who have went on to earn PhDs, and 3 who won the OG Presidential Thesis Award for the Outstanding Graduate Thesis of the Year. Dr. Jensen also collaborated with various colleagues on more than 50 journal articles, 30 technical reports, 30 conference proceedings, and 70 abstracts and presentations. He was tenured and promoted to associate professor at UOG and to colonel by the U.S. Air Force in 1997, was promoted to professor by UOG in 2002, and has served as professor of environmental geology ever since. His research encompassed both basic and applied aspects of island groundwater hydrology, and environmental science. He had also collaborated with various universities, Mississippi State University, to develop and apply carbonate island karst model to the region's tectonically active limestone capped islands. Collaborated with Dr. Jay Banner of the University of Texas, Austin, to characterize warm paleoclimate from speleotherms and corals. Also with Dr. Peter Clark and his students at Oregon State University. Dr. Jensen's service to UOG includes service as chair of the Faculty Council Executive Committee and member of the Faculty Senate Organizing Committee, member of UOG Presidential Search Committee in 2001, and president of the first, second, and fourth Faculty Senate, Senator Parliamentarian, and chair of its standing committees on institutional excellence and faculty excellence during a total of 15 years of service in the Faculty Senate. During his tenure as director from 2016 to present, WARI retained its place as one of the top-rated among the nation's 54 water research institutes, with the USGS rating it as one of the 12 outstanding institutes in the latest 5-year review. His term as WARI director also saw the rehabilitation and expansion of the comprehensive water monitoring program, along with implementation of the One Guam Water Resources Information Program and acquisition of funding for a new building for WARI with expanded laboratory and teaching facilities. The Academic, Personal, and Tenure Committees reviewed this resolution and recommends approval of this resolution, expressing appreciation to Dr. Jensen for his service with UOG for 29 years, to the Board of Regents, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Regents, the administration, faculty, staff, and students convey to Dr. John Jensen their sincerest gratitude for his dedication to UOG and the people of Guam for his exemplar service as a valued member of the university community and his devotion to the growth and prosperity of our island and region.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other discussion on this resolution? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to call a vote. All those in favor of resolution number 22-29, please say aye.
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 Okay, all those abstain? None. All those against? None. The ayes have it. Resolution number 22-29, appreciation to John W. Jensen, is approved and passed. Thank you. And after saying that, I give back the chairmanship to Lisa.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Acting Chair and now Treasurer. Okay. You're doing such a good job. You can probably still continue on as the chair. But okay, let's move on.
Let's not change the subject. Continue.
All right, let's change the subject and move now to item 5.3, Physical Facilities Committee. And for that, we'll call on our committee chair, Regent Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Physical Facilities Committee met on September 7, 2022 at 4 p.m. via Zoom with a quorum present. Begin my report out for the committee with some updates from our old and continuing business. To start off with some facility maintenance updates, starting off with our capital projects update. So the School of Engineering and Student Success Center projects have finally kicked off. There was an event held on August 11th for the official contract signing for both those projects. The total estimated construction cost for both projects is $30.8 million. The School of Engineering will cost about $7.9 million. and the Student Success Services Center will cost 22.9 million. The funding sources for those projects come from three sources. Obviously, the USDA loan at 21.7 million. We have 7.1 million coming from the governor's office, and 2.5 million will be from the EOG Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. The Student Success Center, the issuance of NTP to Reliable Builders, who is our contractor, is coming soon. The facility will improve and expand on our existing student services structure. The facility will be a two-story building, 45,000 square feet once completed. The anticipated completion of that building is October, November of 2024. But construction, as Dave promised, is going to be starting this year. There are relocation plans for the current Student Success Center tenants. A majority will be on a temporary basis within the 3 years. The tenants will be moving to a container village, will be located northwest of the field house facing the tennis courts. The village containers is currently under bid. The post office will also be relocated to the now Kubre building, which I believe is in front of the field house as well. So plans and scopes of works are currently being developed for the relocation plans. The School of Engineering building, again, NTP to Future World, who's the contractor, is coming soon. The anticipated completion of that project is March or April of 2024. Moving on to the Guam Cultural Repository. The building was completed in June 30, 2022. FMS is currently in the process of closing the grant and has until the end of this year, December 2022, to complete. The most recent update for that facility is there is a MOA that to operate the facility between UOG and the Department of Chamorro Affairs. That was signed last month. This will allow Dr. Story to procure and fully operate the facility, and the grand opening for that building is to be determined after operations begin. The Water and Environment Research Institute and School of Health building. Right now, the Worry building design is at 95% complete. They're currently in the process of seeking a height variance and a zone variance with Department of Land Management. The design of the School of Health Annex is also at 95% complete. There are no zoning variances for that particular project. The issue for bid for both projects is looking like it'll be next month in October. Construction will take approximately 24 months to complete for those projects. So definitely looking forward to those new buildings. I do also want to highlight that we do have some new staff that was brought on board for the FMS. We have Zen Bellinger, who is our capital improvements manager, project coordinator. And Dave, can you give us those two positions again? I don't think I have
Yes,
them.
Mr. Zenon Bellinger is the capital projects manager. He is an engineer and architect. And then there's the capital improvement projects coordinator, which is John Kittichai.
Okay.
Oh, correction, David, correction, just, he's an engineer.
I'm sorry, engineer. That's Zenon.
Sorry, I just have to say that.
No, so we've been, if the board recalls, we were struggling for quite a while with those particular positions, trying to find qualified and inexperienced folks. And now that we do have those two, we feel like the university is in a strong position to ensuring that all four of these projects, will be constructed on time and on budget. So I'll look forward to the execution of all those projects. All right, so I'll move on to the next part of my update, which is the life cycle and preventive maintenance plan. So the air conditioning systems, universities used higher education emergency relief funds. UOG was awarded 500,000 to Tony's workshop, which provides carrier products. So purchase order was issued. Units are expected to arrive in October, so next month. FMS is developing another bid offering to install and maintain these units for up to 5 years. So bid is expected to be imminent for that. As far as generators go, a new 600 kilowatt generator and automatic transfer switch is anticipated to be installed next month. This large generator supports the RFK Library, the Micronesian Area Research Center, Global Learning and Engagement, and the Computer Center. The next generator scheduled to be replaced is the CNAS. It's a 175 kilowatt unit. We're still waiting USDA funding approval to fund that generator. As far as campus lighting goes, all the outside lights with hardwire have been replaced. The next steps was to replace exterior solar lights, which are in dark spots. And moving on in the FMS or the update is the UOG Green. So as you may have all heard, the university was granted a Sea Grant status. So the University of Guam is now both a land grant and Sea Grant institution. The UOG Sea Grant program achieved this after receiving a unanimous recommendation from the National Sea Grant Advisory Board and the official designation from senior leadership of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which funds the National Sea Grant College program. The UOG Sea Grant started as a small project more than 2 decades ago, and now advances from its prior status as a Sea Grant Coherent Area program. The program passed through a 2-week comprehensive review in October of last year, during which the Sea Grant Advisory Board evaluated the Guam program, and that looked at several criteria, including leadership, organization, relevance, program team approach, education and training, extension and advisory services, relationships, productivity, support, and continuity of high performance. To celebrate this achievement, the UOG invited the community to a ceremony held on August 11th at the Field House, and the National Sea Grant College Program Director and Hawaii Sea Grant Director and other dignitaries joined the celebration. For the GROW initiative, this initiative develops innovative solutions to reduce land erosion and subsequent sedimentation downstream to coral reefs. The team conducts outreach to thousands in the community through watershed tours to raise awareness. Innovations have included targeted tree plantings, drone seed drops, and erosion barriers. The partners include the UOG Center for Island Sustainability and the Sea Grant, Guam Department of Agriculture, Guam Southern and Northern Soil and Water Conservation Districts, U.S. Forest Service, and the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. Last month, the Bank of Hawaii joined as a GROW partner. They donated $10,000 to the UOG Endowment Fund to plant 200 trees in celebration of their anniversary. The G3 Conservation Corps, the UOG Center for Island Sustainability graduated the 2nd cohort of the Conservation Corps. It's a workforce development program preparing a community for emerging green economy. So over the course of the last 5 months, the 11-member cohort gained experience through various aspects of sustainability, including agriculture, aquaculture, island beautification, invasive species removal, reforestation, circular economy, recycling, and renewable energy. And for the last couple of months, they've contributed to the community, collecting, recycling thousands of aluminum cans. They've built erosion control devices, removed trash around the community, removed tree snakes, invasive species, they've done road cleanups and participated in painting projects. As far as IT infrastructure, the UOG has also hired a new CIO officer, Vince De La Cruz. And so that was another key, I think, hire. We were struggling for a while to find a CIO. And so he's come on board and he's brought a couple of systems that were brought down due to the ransomware, and has begun integrating some new software rolling out. And another thing that the infrastructure group is doing is they have hired a cybersecurity firm to help as well, to look at doing possibly a penetration test to find vulnerabilities to kind of seal up any issues that they find. And then Vince is also looking at doing some training as well for the end users at the university. For the Siemens update, the Department of Interior has funded a project that will start January of 2023, will conclude at the end of December 2023. The project scope includes complete LED conversions for all the buildings, converting ACs and lighting to smart technology, and installing 15 kilowatts of solar power. The remaining project scope will be implemented once the 4.5 million financing is secured. And Madam Chair, that ends my committee update for the Physical Facilities Committee. I think you're still on mute.
Sorry, yeah, there you go. Regent Diaz, do you have a resolution to present?
I do, yeah. So moving on to our action item for our committee, I make a motion to approve resolution number 22-30 relative to authorizing and approving the up to $4,500,000 loan with the Bank of Guam.
Any second? Do we have a second?
Regent Malilai seconds.
Okay, thank you. Discussion.
For background, UOG is seeking a $4.5 million loan to finance energy efficient improvements. The board previously authorized to finance energy efficiency projects identified in resolution 21-36 that was adopted on November 18, 2021. It was explained to our committee that this new resolution includes specific language required for the loan. The loan will be repaid with funds from UOG's revenues, and UOG's obligation to repay the loan will be secured by a pledge and assignment of UOG's revenues and pledge and assignment of a UOG deposit account to Bank of Guam. This resolution would approve the loan extended by the Bank of Guam. It approves and authorizes the use of the proceeds of the loan to finance the cost of energy efficiency projects identified in resolution 21-36. The resolution also authorizes and directs our chair and President Christ to do any and all things, whether referenced in or not, or which they or the board may deem necessary or advisable in order to consummate the loan. The Physical Facilities and Budget, Finance, and Audit Committees have reviewed and seek authorization to exercise the loan and recommends for board approval.
Thank you, Regent Diaz. Okay, with no further discussion then, I'd like to call for a vote on the resolution. All those in favor?
Madam Chair, because we have, if I may, because we have two of our regents that do work at Bank of Guam and they will be abstaining, may we do it by roll call, please, so that we can ensure we have the 5 remaining votes.
Okay, do we,
and with
do
your
we have
and
5
we-
votes? We do
Yeah,
have
and with
the
your
5
permission,
votes? Okay, all right.
yeah, by
so-
roll call, and with your permission, if I can call them out to get their vote, I can document it accordingly.
Yeah, okay, all right. So with that, we'd like to have call a roll call vote for each individual region, starting with myself on the record as voting aye in favor of the resolution. Okay. Region Diaz.
Aye.
Okay. Region Nahala abstains. Region Leal
Hey.
Guerrero abstains. And Region Malilai.
Aye.
Okay. And student region Julie Laksamana.
Aye.
And last, Regent Bernie. Bernie, are you there? Uh-oh. So we need to get. Hello? Is Regent Guevara here? Dave?
Yeah,
Do we
Region
have a-
Valencia's online.
Oh, okay, so
Standby.
did Regent Valencia vote on the resolution?
No, not yet.
Okay. Can we get a vote from Regent Valencia Bernie? Okay. So we're not getting.
Try and call her, and she may have stepped away
Yeah.
from the computer. So
Yeah.
just 1 minute.
Yeah. Dave, would you be able to contact Regent Valencia?
Yeah,
And
I just
then-
WhatsApped her, man.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, while we're waiting, we can actually move on. Are we able to do that? And then come back to this resolution?
Maybe table for later?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Maybe table and move on to the
Yeah.
other votes and then we'll come back.
Yeah. Dave, do we need a motion to table at this time?
I think you can just call for the table right now and we'll come back to it, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's move on then to item 5.4, the Budget, Finance and Audit Committee. That's what I call on our committee chair, Regent Hall.
Thank you very much, Chairman Perfito. The Budget, Finance and Audit Committee met on September 8th, and the quorum was present. After approving the minutes, the committee members agreed to review the action items first, as there was a chance that we would have lost quorum during the meeting. Having said that, I'd like to begin with the action items. I know I'm going off the schedule. Can I get your approval to do that, Chairman
Yes, I
Perfito?
think you can go ahead. You can go ahead and move forward with your reporting
Okay.
on
Okay.
action items.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, the first item that was discussed was the general operations budget for the university. There was a move to discuss, and it was approved. According to the university, explained to the committee that these budgets present a significant challenge to the university. In fiscal year 2021, the general operations appropriations was 26.1 million. In fiscal year 2022, the appropriation was reduced to 25.1. But the appropriation was further reduced by 2.5 million for specific purposes outside of general operations. That left the university with a budget of 22.5 million for the fiscal year. The university has some repurchase funds related to COVID-19 federal programs, which enabled the university to get through the year. The university had planned to leave the same amount for this fiscal year. Our controller, Rachel Kubica, made many pleas, which resulted in a 1 million increase. The university attempted to reach out to senators by any means possible, The day the budget was passed, some members of the Student Government Association reached out to senators to discuss the budget shortfalls. And later on, administration reached out to the same senator and it resulted in some action taken. The 1.15 million in funds was freed up to use in operations, and a commitment was received that another $1 million will be appropriated to university. In order to balance the budget, the university is retaining 1 million from the non-appropriated funds of the schools, college, and units. Additionally, the university has the 1.6 million of higher education emergency relief funds, money that can be applied to this budget. The university also cut as vacant positions. The university is also going to conduct a program prioritization process in which demand for majors will be used to allocate any vacancies that become available during the year. Programs which are not producing sufficient graduates will be eliminated. This will help the university adjust to the new reality of decreased budgets from the general government. The budget is going to be very tight and pain will be felt across the university, but the university administration believes that with the recent help from the legislature, the university will be able to get through the year. The total general operation budget is 44.2 million, with 24.8 million coming from the general appropriation, 14.4 million coming from tuition, and 6 million come from other sources. Second, please. The budget for the government has not been signed into law. However, it was signed into law a couple of days ago. If I remember correctly, the budget was signed for 1 billion. And it's signed to law. So a clause was added to the resolution that allows the president to finalize the budget in the event there are further changes made before the Budget Act becomes law. The BFA committee reviewed the budget and found it to be appropriate. This resolution was discussed at the GPA meeting and was moved forward for consideration for the full board of regents. Having said that, I would like to bring up resolution number 22-31 relative to approving the proportion fiscal year 22 general operations and special appropriation budget. I would like to get a motion for this resolution.
Regent Malilai seconds the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Regent
Okay,
Malilai.
thank you very much. Thank you, Regent Malilai. Thank you. Okay, having said that, like I mentioned, the request was submitted by the administration, reviewed and endorsed by the UOG president and the BFA committee for approval. I'd like to, if you can call a motion for approval.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on then to call for a vote then. All those in favor of resolution number 22-31, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, hearing none, the ayes have it and motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Regent Malilai.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is a resolution number 22-32 relative to the approving the fiscal year 2023 non-appropriated fund budget. Okay, what this basically is that the item agenda, certain funds that are earned by the university by the different operation university comes in as the income. The non-appropriated funds derive mostly from fees charged for various services throughout the university. The university requires all funds expecting more than 25,000 in non-appropriated funds to submit a budget. The various funds are reflected and the total revenue anticipated is 6.8 million. Expenses include salaries and benefits, contracts, supplies, and equipment. The BFA committee reviewed these expenses and found them to be appropriate. The resolution was discussed at the BFA meeting and was moved forward for consideration by the full board of regents. Having said that, this is the second. I'm all got people all over this place here. Okay, so we're looking at right now the non-appropriated funds.
Yes. So okay,
okay. And this is a resolution 22-32. I would like to bring this bring this to the board for approval.
Okay, so that's a motion. I assume you're making the motion for the resolution.
Yes.
Okay, and so moved, and so can we get a second?
Regent Malilai seconds.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, then I'd like to go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Opposed, okay, abstentions, so motion carries unanimously.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, the next item is the auxiliary fund budget. Okay, this is represented by resolution number 22-33. Basically, the auxiliary funds within the university are funds that operate like a business and expect to earn sufficient revenue to pay for the operations. Examples of the auxiliary funds include the Triton store, the residence hall, the Calvo Field House, global learning engagement, etc. In the case of the global engagement, a $450,000 contribution is being made to university to provide additional funding for operations. Most of the other units are either providing a small contribution to the university or are working up to a point where they can provide a contribution. The revenue and expense forecasts appear to be achievable. The resolution was discussed at the BFA meeting and was moved forward for consideration by the 4 Board of Regents. This is the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can we can we make a motion then to that effect? Then that is a motion on the floor.
Regent Malilai seconds.
Okay, thank you, Regent Malilai. Further discussion? Okay, hearing none. I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank
All those
you.
opposed? All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the last motion, the last resolution I'd like to discuss is the establishment of resolution number 2234, relative to establishing the UOG Advancement Initiative as a 501c3 corporation. This was submitted by the University of Guam Administration and reviewed by the BFA committee. What this is that by putting the University of Guam as a nonprofit resolution, it will now formalize this by establishing a way to raise funds by the University Guam institution. This would be very good because so this way, when donors or different companies assist the university, then they have a basis for a tax. It will affect their tax. They can utilize this as a refund, not a refund, but as a not to be charged on their income. So this is a good idea, and I think it would be very helpful, especially with the various efforts the University of Guam has and raising funds in either the sports or the special programs, or even moving forward in the overall operations. I would like to bring this resolution 22-34 to establishing the UOG Advancement Initiative for the board consideration.
Okay, thank you, Regent Nahala. And so that is a motion to that effect. So can I have a second?
Regent,
second.
Madam Chair, I do have one question. How does this
Yes,
differ
sir.
from the UOG Endowment Foundation as a?
Yeah. Well, I believe there are two entities. The Endowment Foundation efforts is centered on fundraising efforts, whereas this one is structured towards more of an annual giving fund, and so we can probably ask for clarification then.
Yes.
I was
I
Yeah,
can
I
say,
was gonna, I'm sorry, go ahead.
just to say that we think that under the current structure, we can accept gifts and people can deduct them as a charitable deduction. But doing this just makes it crystal clear that it's okay. So this is an extra step we want to take in order to make it perfectly clear that if someone gives us a gift, that it is tax deductible. So this is really just an insurance policy to make it perfectly clear that it's eligible for the tax deduction.
And I believe, yeah. Oh,
Can I just have a point of clarification?
Mhm.
Can we
Sure.
have this motion seconded so we can discuss this?
Okay.
yeah. I thought we had a second. Okay. Can we get a second?
Okay, I move to second this motion.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, Doug, so Regent Malila, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I thought this overlapped with the endowment, and as a public university, you couldn't really fundraise, because isn't this sort of like a fundraising because you are getting money from outside sources? I thought as a public university, you couldn't do that.
No, public universities can certainly raise funds. The reason that we have a private foundation is particularly to guarantee donor intent. So it's mainly exists for permanent endowments where someone gives a fund of money to support, say, a professorship or a scholarship that they want to last forever. And then and the proceeds of that supports the scholarship or the salary or whatever it is. And so the private foundation is better able to guarantee the donor's intent in perpetuity. So that's why public universities set up private foundations in order to guarantee the donor's intent without any potential interference from all of us or, you know, the political structure, any of that kind of thing. So universities can certainly, public universities can certainly raise funds. They can ask for them. They can accept them. We can do all those kinds of things. We can do that now, and people have given us money, and people have deducted them on their taxes. We just would like to create this 501c3 corporation to make it perfectly clear that if someone gives money to the university directly, that it is a tax deductible donation. So it's just for clarity, just an extra step to be as clear as possible. And the division of labor between the endowment foundation and our internal advancement operation is largely along. I mean, we collaborate on everything. You know, the endowment foundation helps us in lots of different ways. But the biggest distinction would be the endowment foundation is especially there for the long-term permanent endowments. And if someone wants to give money to the university to do something in particular, like to build something, then they can give it directly to us and we can execute on that. And they can get a deduction for it. And this just helps to make it perfectly clear that they can take it as a tax deduction.
Yeah. So actually to control those funds, yeah.
This is common to public universities?
Sorry, what?
Establish a 501?
Is it common?
It's just to establish a 501c3 corporation under the university that then is the recipient of gifts, and then the people can then deduct it from their taxes. That's the whole idea. So we're just creating this in order to make it perfectly clear that it is a tax deductible. You don't have to explain anything. You just say it's a 501c3 and the tax people all understand that. This just is to clarify the gift, that the gift is tax deductible.
Right.
Okay, so it's common to
Very
public
common.
universities.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is very common, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Right. Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to call on a vote. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Okay, all those opposed? Abstentions? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. I do want to bring, there was one item that came in front of the BFA committee, and it was a presentation regarding the salary issues. Dr. Bob Barber, the faculty union president, made a compelling presentation indicating that UOG professors are behind even the post-secondary schools on Guam. And if I may, Chair, I would like to bring in Mr. Bob Barber,
Sure.
to explain his position and give us a byline. But before we go there, regarding the figures of the budgets and everything that's done, I have thoroughly reviewed it. I have really no issues. Anything that came up, I already discussed with VP Randy. So I like to move on that, and we can give that particular time for Mr. Barber, if I can.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So, Mr. Barber, looks like you're on share screen now. So we'd like to give you the floor for your presentation.
Well, thank y'all. I really appreciate you giving me time tonight. I really want to thank the president and the vice presidents of UOG for supporting us in this effort. We've been studying this for decades, and what you're seeing now is a culmination of the past year and a half of serious study work we've put into the issues surrounding faculty. To really bring it forward, if we go to the next slide. Okay, so there's some core issues that within faculty compensation. Now, these are not all of them. There are others that are less pressing, but these are the pressing issues we'd like to bring to you today. But there's some core issues within faculty compensation that have just been dragging on for going on 20 years now. I want to frame this firmly as a University and Government of Guam labor equity issue, but it's also a market competitiveness issue. The four things I'd like to talk about tonight are internal to UOG, the history since 1991, how the faculty have been left behind while the administrators and staff have had significant scale increases, but also external to UOG since 1991. We've not received the increases that Guam Department of Education, GCC, and other Government of Guam employees have received. Just to give you a note, in a 2004 study using Coupa data, it showed that the university faculty then were more than 20% behind the peer and aspirant institutions. But unlike administrators, this was not corrected, and now it's closer to 40% behind. Also, I want to just show you some structural problems with the current faculty salary schedule that they've accumulated over time, but they could also be fixed. These are the easy things. Next slide, please. So we really have to start with 1991. For all of Guam, this was a watershed year. The whole civil service pay structure was completely restructured then. In 1991, the UOG and faculty administrator scales were also restructured for equity within Gov Guam, and these were Board of Regents approved. By 2001, the Faculty Salary Committee documented that the top 21 administrative position salaries had gone up by more than 19%. Now, these were without BOR approval. They're just incrementally changed. We also documented in that study that from 1991 to 2001, inflation had eroded both faculty and administrator scales by 28%. In 2003, using this data and other, the administrator scale was formally changed and was significantly, and this was approved by the Board of Regents. But then again, in 2021, the administrative scale was again changed with Board of Regent approval. In terms of staff, in 2014, the Competitive Wage Act changed the civil service staff scale at UOG as well throughout Gov Guam. But also in 2014, UOG immediately updated the non-civil service staff scale to give comparable salary changes. It's important to note that when all of these changes came about for both administrators and staff, UOG just bit the bullet, adjusted it, and absorbed the increases, but not for faculty. What has happened from 1991 to 2022, the average cumulative underlying faculty salary change has only been 11%. And in 2001, the faculty have been showing that we were more than 20% behind and falling behind further and further every year. During this period, just some points to note from this year, from 1991 to present, inflation's more than 110%. When I Googled the other day, the national inflation rate was over 117% since 1991. This has cut the buying power of that scale in half. Also, since 1991, if you look at the administrators that are immediately above faculty, just to see what the cumulative change in the administrator scale has resulted in from 1991 to present, the president and the two vice presidents' salaries have changed on average by 76% increase. If you look at the 5 college and school deans, they've increased on average by 71%. Now, again, I stress, during this same period of time, the faculty scale has only changed 11%. I want to note the faculty feel that every one of these salary scales changes were justified. Both GovGuam, civil service, administrator, they all, as a matter of fact, it could easily be argued that they should have been increased more. But what has been just inexcusable is how the faculty have been left behind repeatedly through this whole process. If we can go to the next slide, please. There have been changes in the faculty scale. From 1991 to 2000, as I noted, the cumulative changes of all these little things I'll discuss now has been about 11% in the actual scale. Prior to and following the 2003 administrator scale on an annual basis, the Faculty Salary Committee have recommended changing the faculty scale annually. In 2004 and 5, the hard to hire steps of 16 to 20 were added to the scale, but this only benefited a few faculty were designated as hard to hire. But the underlying scale has still remained the same. And if you note that the civil service also has given 18 to 20 steps to most of their positions, so if they had been accessible, it would have matched what we did. In 2005 to 2006, Coupa data showed this, and this was 16 years ago. Coupa data showed that the faculty salaries were 20% behind the low to medium comparative institute levels. Significant salary realignment did not take place. The Board of Regents then did make resolutions promising changes in the faculty scale at 3% a year for 5 to 7 years, but these things were stopped. I mean, they barely got started being implemented, and what did happen resulted in those 11% change. But budget cuts to UOG were perceived to force non-implementation of the faculty increases. And all of these efforts, again, 11, I keep saying it, but it's 11%. But what's worth noting is this 11% that the faculty got it doesn't even come up to what 2001 we noted administrators had already experienced in 2001. And so, next slide. So there have been efforts, but they've been aborted. If we look outside to equity within GovGuam, in 2010, a Hayes study found government Guam civil service scales were woefully behind in terms of market competitiveness and equity. In 2014, the Competitive Wage Act changed the civil service scale, including for Guam Department of Education teachers and university civil service staff. Now in 2022, Guam Department of Educators just received an across-the-board 20% increase in their scale, the educator pay plan scale. If we look over at our peers at Guam Community College, they also recently upgraded both faculty and administrator to the 2019 Coupa scale. If we wanted to look, it's really hard to compare UOG faculty salaries to Guam teachers or Guam Community College. Because, well, for teachers, the basic expected degree is a bachelor's degree. Some have masters and a very, very few have doctorates, whereas the basic requirement for most UOG positions starts with a doctorate and goes up from there. At GCC, it's a little closer, but again, they don't require quite the same levels of education as UOG does. But what we can do is we can look at for entry-level positions on each of the 3 scales for someone with a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or a terminal degree, a PhD, EDD, or others. We can compare that first step on the scale that a green graduate would go in at. And when we do that, before the 20% increase of this year to Guam Department of Education, university faculty were already 12%, 13%, and 11% behind respectively for those 3 different levels. with the 20% increase, we're now 35%, 6%, and 33% behind at Guam Department of Education. When we compare to a similar on the salary scale entry-level position at Guam Community College, and noting that Guam Community College at those entry-level positions doesn't require quite as, they allow people with lower level degrees to come in those positions, but we're still 17%, 26%, and 21% less than the Guam Community College. So we're behind even our peers within Gov Guam, and not just a little bit behind, seriously behind. Could we have the next slide? So it's as an equity within Gov Guam, I mean, if we looked at UOG equity, we should be asking 50, 60%, 70% increase. If we look at equity within Gov Guam, we should be asking between 30 and 40. But the other thing often in this, and core to the Hayes study and other work done, is we always look at both equity and we look at market competitiveness. Well, we've had multiple studies doing market competitiveness that started as being 20% behind, and over the decades coming, it's gotten even worse. Lack of competitive wages is going to seriously impact, and is seriously impacting UOG's ability to attract and keep and motivate, and that's really important, motivate highly qualified faculty who provide UOG's teaching, research, and service. The Parahulo strategic plan and accreditation hinge on the faculty. You can't do anything with any of these without the faculty. We and the students are at the core of the university. And yet we just did a study where we used 2018-19 Chronicle of Higher Education data using the new peer and aspirant list that Vice Provost De Leon Guerrero just presented to you guys tonight. Using that data and adjusting for community cost of living differences, we find that at the professor level, we're more than 29% behind. The associate professor level, we're 33% behind. The assistant professor level, we're 32% behind. And instructor level, we're 40% behind. And now this is using 2018-19 data, not 2022 data. The UOG faculty scale, through all of this, we figure at a minimum, the UOG faculty scale needs to be increased by 40% to attain both labor equity within UOG administration to Guam Department of Education compared to Guam Community College educations, and to approach market competitive salaries with peer universities. If we could have the next slide, please. Okay, so 40% is a goal, but there's also structural issues with the faculty scale. The faculty scale has 5 ranks: assistant instructor, that's where a bachelor's degree would come in, instructor, assistant professor, associate professor, and the rank of assistant instructor. In all of our changes, even after we lifted the hard to hire, we didn't fix this, and we probably should have, but all the other ranks have 20 steps. The assistant instructor only has 9 steps. We need to immediately add steps 10 to 20. It'll only affect a small handful of faculty, but it's significant to those. But a real problem with our scale is that for more than 30 years, HRO's guidelines on how to place new hires on the faculty salary scale were followed until the last 7 years. But because the scale is so far behind in the last 7 years, the administrators in hiring have ignored the HRO guidelines when they place new faculty on the scale. And because if they'd followed the guidelines, we never could have hired the faculty. So they've had to go with what they think would be the minimum the faculty would accept to come here. What this has resulted in is what we call salary scale inversion. And what it means is that new hires are coming in and are being placed higher on the scale and given seniority over faculty who have been here for decades in some cases, that have similar or higher qualifications and years of loyal service to university. They now have to see new people placed above them in seniority and being given more money than they're currently making. And so this has caused a salary scale inversion. So as we go forward with adjusting the scale with increases, we need to address this issue as well, because it creates a lot of inequity within our system. And another issue, because our scale is so outdated, except for 4 or 5 faculty positions in our lowest ranks, there are no faculty currently on the scale in steps 1 to 6 across the ranks. The new faculty have been hired higher, and those who were originally placed in 1 to 6 have, with annual increments, moved up out of it. So we have areas at the bottom of the scale that are not even being used. Until we fix the scale, They just sit there idle. Now, and all of this, I've talked about this, and it'd be remiss if we didn't tell you what it's going to cost to do these kind of fixes. If we went for a 40% increase in the scale overnight, it would cost almost $7 million, $6,984. This includes not just the nominal salary, but the fringe stuff like retirement, that are based on the salary increases. If we go to what the DOE teachers had and got a 20% increase, you're talking $3.5 million. If we go 30% increase, it's 5.2 million. And this is every year going forward. And if we look at a 10%, kind of like almost a minimum, you would think about over several years, you're still talking about 1.7 million. Next slide, please. These are huge numbers. And so we can't expect, it took decades to fall into this situation. We don't expect you to correct it this year. Certainly not this budget year where you're struggling, but there are things you can do. So the fact, and we'll come to you with more of this and next, but this is an information thing, but there's steps that we can take. First, the University Administration Faculty Salary Committee recommends the immediate addition of steps 10 to 20 to the assistant instructor agent 1 rank. The fiscal impact of this will only involve increments over the coming years for 1 or 2 faculty, 3 or 4 if we hire some more, but very few, very limited impact. But our core recommendation and what we hope to get this month and going forward over the next couple of months is that the Board of Regents and our administrator commit to seeking a 40% increase in the faculty salary schedule through a planned 2-prong approach over the upcoming years. Not right away, but it'll take years. But we'll never get anywhere if we don't set a goal. And this is the goal we're asking you to set. First is by the 2-prong approach involves 2 steps. First, the Board of Regents, the administrator, and the faculty union commit to working together to actively meet with both members of the Guam legislature and with the governor and lieutenant governor and their cabinet to seek a special appropriation legislation for UOG that matches the legislation that was just passed for the Department of Education's educator pay plan increase of 20% so that UOG can increase the faculty schedule in a similar manner. This 20% that we're asking for would not be a 1-year thing. It's a permanent increase, just like they did with the Department of Education. And there's various funding sources that the lieutenant governor, for one, identified a couple of potential areas where the government of Guam is seeing savings, that stuff may come out. We need to actively get with them and identify funding sources and communicate with them and not expect it to happen overnight. But we do need to start making them aware of this issue and seek their help in doing it. But then independent of that, we ask that the Board of Regents and administration commit to increasing the faculty schedule by 20% within what we get with our budgets through line item changes in future years' budget to the faculty salary. So we know you may not be able to do 20% we're looking at starting this in fiscal year 2024. What we hope is we'd love to see a 20% budget at all at once, but that may not be possible. But a 10% might be possible. It would cost roughly $1,800,000 to do a 10% increase, a line item increase, designated so the legislature clearly understands this is for increasing the faculty salary scale. If this isn't possible and the climate seems as negative as it was this year, we ask that you then look at possible 5% increase. And we're very leery of this because in past promised phased increases, it got stopped after the first year. But we're asking that you commit to looking at 5% increase over fiscal year 2024, 2025, 2026, and 2027. This will cost between $900,000 and $1 million for each additional year. Next slide, please. We also think that we can have some savings in the first big change in the salary scale, whether it's 20%, 10%, or 5%. And you can have some savings if we make adjustments and we factor in the adjustments looking at the recent hires in the last 7 years. And not all got placed higher on the scale, but for those that are identified as, looking at making adjustments, and some may not get as big of an increase as others. Those, just like when you change the new administrator scale, administrators who have been hired in anticipation of, of a new scale and at market thing, they didn't get the same increase that some of the other administrators got. We could look at something similar going forward and HRO and the union can work together on this. You're going to need to, since we have lifted the hard to hire so that faculty can have some mobility, we will need to look at in the HRO, once we get a correct scale and we start placing people following rules on the scale again, we'll probably want to look at, for certain positions that we know are going to be hard to hire, designating a multiple step increase for, at hire to the normal practice for the hard to hire. And finally, once we get the scales fixed, maybe we want to think about dropping steps 5 to 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 off the scale, and then adding new steps at the top. That would not have an impact for 5 to 10 years, but what it would do is guarantee the viability of the scale going out a couple of decades from now. And these are all ideas. Again, I want to thank the administration for being very supportive of us in presenting this. I hope you guys can work with us. We really believe that this is going to take a new approach. We can't just go and have a panel sit before the whole legislature. We've got to get out and actually go into the individual legislature offices. Ideally, students, faculty, regents, administrators going together and presenting this case to them. It needs to be prepared. It needs to be thought of, and we need to be looking at future years. But honestly, I think we can do this. I think every time we've spoken to people, this is quite moving when people realize how bad the history has been for the faculty. And so anyway, there's tons of data to back all this up. I'm happy to meet with any of you individually or, and do another presentation if you want to get into more details. I tried to keep this one down to shooting between 15 and 20 minutes. I hope I stayed within that time. I'm happy to answer any questions, and as I said, would love to meet with you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Barber. Yeah, this was a fairly in-depth explanation of the faculty salaries, and yes, we certainly. I think there's no one here that will disagree with you that the faculty is the backbone of the university, and so if there are ways that we can prioritize this now, get it in discussion in the BFA committee. Get the resolutions passed. I don't know, perhaps adjusting salary scales. I don't know what it's going to involve, but at least you're starting the conversation and raising awareness about this. And so the message is fairly clear. Who knows? Maybe we have to start talking about the tuition increase again. But that's something that the BFA committee has to address for the Board of Regents. But so thank you again.
I'd like to say something.
Sure. Yes.
I really do support the faculty, and I don't know why it took them so long to bring up these numbers or these figures. But I like to make a motion. I like to make a motion that the administration and the Board of Regents, Budget Finance Audit Committee come up with a plan to address this issue, whether it should be viable, or do they have guidelines, or what steps they think should be taken. And I would like that, that's my motion.
Okay, thank you, Regent.
I think we need to act instead of just talk.
Well, okay. Yeah. Having said that, Chair, can I add something to that motion? Sure. I think getting together, sitting down, getting all the information is one thing, but we need to start pounding the pavement, and we need to start banging the doors. So I think the only way this is going to happen, we have to be aggressive on this. There's no question about it. I feel Dr. Barber's feelings on this, and he's not the only one that I've talked to, and I think it's something that needs to go up. And I think yes. To be fair, I really support the motion, but to go one step further, to implement action or at least something that is achievable, that is workable to see this through. And you're right, it may not be overnight, but at least there's a process that's going, and then we can focus on getting this completed. If I can, Regent Millie, I'd like to add that to your motion.
Great, I'm glad you second my motion.
Second, your motion is done with the changes. Got it.
Well, yeah, so the emotion stands, although, you know, I think that there are already is some effort out there to look at ways that we can address the faculty salaries. And so it's been going on for a long time. So it's not a new issue. It's just a question of how are we going to find the funding, and whether that means, okay, we're going to have to require a new level of engagement for the Board of Regents, that we have to really have coordinated effort with all of the groups that are involved to lobbying for the salary increase, whether it be more special appropriations or the increase in tuition. You know, those are hard decisions that have to be made. But in any case, so we do have a motion that stands. It's not, it's more as a motion to endeavor to really try and make progress and towards addressing the salaries, faculty salary scale.
If I may, Chair, this is the commitment from the board. You know, too much talk in the past. I think what we need not only to commit our efforts to get this thing resolved, but I like it's interesting point that Dr. Barber mentioned when it was like, can you imagine us increasing salaries, and then all 50 members slamming into our door and say, okay, shoot, then give me this, and then let's see who wins on that one. Again, I'm just voicing my comments out there, because you know this is too much already. You know, I mean, I feel for the university. And that's my comments. I don't want to continue on because I won't be able to stop. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, Dr. Kreis.
Yes, Madam Chair. Can I just say that this is a symptom of the decline in the support for the basic budget. So we have 70 vacancies. We have this serious salary problem. So this is just a symptom of that. So we have declined 34.1% in the support from the legislature for the university since 2017. That's 3 years. I mean, it's a grand total of 7 years that this has been going on. So this is a symptom of that. So, I support any sort of. I'm happy to be directed by you to say we have to come up with a plan to fix this, and that actually can help us to say, if you say to us this happens, then we go to the legislature and say we're under pressure from the board to do this. But it's been very difficult. And you've heard all the good news about the university, and we've done an amazing job, but it sets up this weird dynamic where the politicians can't understand that the basic budget is necessary to achieve all of these great things. And if they keep reducing it, it's you know, you get to a breaking point. And so Bob's pointing out this, one of those breaking points is the salary scale. And even, I mean, all the other things, I mean, across the board, the salaries are very, very depressed compared to peer institutions or to cost of living or to anything else you want to compare it to. And so I think it's helpful to this effort to have this recent big raise for GDOE teachers that really, you know, puts into high relief how way out of whack we are, thanks to this dramatic reduction. You know, to drop 34% in 7 years is a huge. They hate the word, but it's a huge disinvestment in higher education. And every time you talk to them, and we've all been, many of us, you know, every single one of them, one by one, sometimes in groups, always together. I mean, sometimes together, sometimes all together in the budget hearings, WhatsApp, phone calls. They all say yes, 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 UOG, 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 and then they vote to cut the budget. So it's exasperating on multiple levels. I mean, you even saw the example of the 5 million, the effort to get us 5 million to help with the inflation cost overruns for the buildings, and that failed. And one of the things that failed was a co-sponsor of the bill voted against the bill on the floor. And so it's sort of like, how do you win if this is what's going to happen? So I would be happy to be directed by the board to come up to say, you can tell us, come up with a plan to address this, and we'll figure out a way to press it more vigorously with the legislature.
Right, thank you. Yeah, and I think this one, in preparation for the next round of budget hearings, we have to really strategize and really look at a new level of engagement then with the legislature and referring to the Board of Regents, of course. So it may be that we have to really start looking in as a board and make our voice heard too with the legislature. But in any case, all right, so then going back to the motion then, for Regent Malilai's motion.
Yes.
Since it was
Yes.
Could I
seconded.
just add, Madam Chair, could I just add a couple words? I think the plan is going to be so important and critical to actually getting this off the ground. If we go to the legislature without a plan, with multiple scenarios, similar to what Bob presented, like it could be starting 2024, whether it be 20% for 2 years until we reach 40% or 10% for 4 years. It gives them multiple scenarios, but we have to also paint what the cost of each of those scenarios are and what the impact would be on the faculty and the university as a whole. So if we go in there, we make it extremely hard for anyone to say no to all the options, because there's one option that we could at least agree on. So the plan should include multiple options, but also identify the costs and the impact.
Yep,
Right.
I like that too.
Yeah. And I think perhaps with the motion, we should say that we should, it's based really on the faculty union report that was presented to the Board of Regents, that it's adopted and make the Board of Regents must make a concerted effort to move forward with some kind of with addressing the faculty's salary scale.
Sounds good.
And with the legislature.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right, so with that, then I'd like to go ahead and call for a vote on this motion. So all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, abstention? Okay, hearing none, the ayes have it, and motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You warmed my
Yes.
heart.
Yeah, so we'll put this in. We're not going to put this in the back burner. This is probably something that really has to be acted
done
on in some way. So thank you, Bob, and for bringing this to the board's attention. And as we say, we also need to act with a patient sense of urgency because we know that change doesn't come overnight, but at least we have to start the process. So thank you for your presentation. And I think that should wrap up the Budget and Finance Committee report. Regent Martinez.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Stable Plata. So I've had a chance to contact Regent Valencia. She's been listening to everything, but she's having audio problems of talking and putting things into chat. But I have on record through WhatsApp that she votes yes to 5.3.2, which is relative to authorizing and approving the up to $4,500,000 loan with Bank of Guam for record. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and David. So so moving back to resolution number 22-30. So in terms of the roll call vote, I believe now we have five yes votes, which means then that 5 yes votes and 2 abstentions. Sorry, which means that the motion carries with majority vote. So thank you. Okay. Now it looks like we are on item 6.0, the ad hoc report for the Endowment Foundation update. Do we have the Endowment Director, Katrina, here? Thank you, Katrina.
Yes. Hafaday, Madam Chair Pavito, and members of the Board of Regents. There was a fundraising event coming up in honor of the UOG Endowment Foundation's 40th anniversary we will be holding a gala celebration at the Dusitani Grand Ballroom on October 8th. During the event, we will be awarding meritorious service awards to 3 individuals who have volunteered their time and service to the UOG Endowment Foundation for over 25 years each. We have the Endowment Foundation's legal counsel, Attorney Ladd Bauman, President Emeritus and former chairman of the UOG Endowment Foundation Board of Directors, Dr. Wilfred Leon Guerrero, and Mr. Jesse Leon Guerrero, who is the current chairman of our board of directors. We will also give recognition to our top 40 partners, businesses and individuals who have generously supported UOG through the foundation for the past 40 years. And entertainment will feature performances by Jesse and Ruby. There will be a reunion of the Casuals, and DJ Noli of Music Sensation will round out the evening. We'll have a raffle drawing with a grand prize of 2 United Airlines tickets to fly from Guam or Saipan to the United States. And winners will be announced during our gala. However, for this raffle, you need not be present to win. There will be a portal available where you can purchase raffle tickets for this particular drawing. In addition, we'll have a silent art auction, and there will be many more raffle prizes at the event for which you must be present to win. We certainly hope that you can join. The UOG Endowment Foundation is very honored to be conduits for philanthropy from its donors, and we are grateful to the valuable partnership we have with UOG personnel in reaching out to these donors. Notable donations received in the past couple of months include $50,000 from a $250,000 pledge by the Bank of Guam for a 5-year naming opportunity with the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Special thanks to the former Dean of SBPA, Dr. Annette Santos, and Dr. James G. for their assistance in bringing this to fruition. $23,000 was received from the GITA QC3 grant to benefit the Island Wisdom Traditional Seafaring Program for the construction of a 40-foot canoe house. And special thanks go to Dean Monique Story and the Island Wisdom Committee for their assistance in applying for this grant. $10,000 was received from Bank of Hawaii. I believe Regent Diaz had mentioned this. This benefits the Guam Green Growth Program, in which Bank of Hawaii and many of their employees planted 200 trees as a part of the Center for Island Sustainability's efforts in restoring watersheds. So special thanks go out to Austin Shelton for his outreach. And $10,000 was received by the Tansu Lin Foundation. They are the founding donors for the UOG Regional Sports Scholarship, which will be a new way, or used as a new way to recruit student athletes. UOG Endowment Foundation has also committed to support providing scholarship funding for this purpose. And special thanks go out to Dean Lawrence Camacho and Mark Mendiola for procuring this as well. And lastly, $10,000 was received from an anonymous donor to benefit the More Like Jimmy Scholarship Fund. That's my report. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Katrina. Okay, moving on then to item 7.0 at open presentation. Do we have anyone in the general public, Dave? Okay, hearing.
Yes, ma'am. There has been no one that has reported to me that they will speak, but if you give them a few more seconds for those that are on now that may want to, otherwise silence means no.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because yeah.
Okay, and with that, it doesn't sound like anyone will be raising their hands, so we can move forward.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 8.0, executive session. Can I have a motion to move into executive session?
Regent Diaz, I move to executive session.
Regent Noholoa, second.
Okay, thank you. So it is 7:49, and the board will be adjourning into executive session.
Ma'am, if you don't mind, if you can just call for the vote for record, we should be.
Oh,
okay.
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Aye.
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 Okay. All those opposed? All those abstaining, all right, the ayes have it, motion carries unanimously. Okay, let's move on, let's move into executive session.
Thank you, ma'am. So what we're going to do right now, just for the audience, is we're going to